let's do it again.
You know, obviously you got the me versus draws. That probably won't ever end for the next 5 years.
I think we're the best team in the game right now, to be honest.
You know, obviously me versus Optic. People love watching me play Optic.
Yeah, I'm 21% Spain. Isn't that cool? I'm 21% Spain.
Me versus Toronto.
You know, I've never played against Scrap on LAN.
I feel like it's just me, bro. Like, we need some more people talking shit. Like, let's get into this.
Fucking knew it was Spanish, bro.
What a pitch this is. The unreadable. What a two. Oh, four. Here we go. There's one. Kenny. Oh, my God. Here comes Chaos, and his name is Sahoo. They cannot stop this, man. They can't stop this, man. Black Ops 6. We are in for a year.
No, that's high. Good try. Wow, he actually old the fucking.
What's up? That's
nice. When is D? We're going 5-5. We figured them out on our front.
Oh, I shot the worst timing. Try. Oh, good. Alright, let's go. Let's play together. Yeah. What do you guys want to do?
That was Kenny sealing the deal. A 5-1 comeback in a Game 5 gives Optic a top 2 seed. Welcome back, everybody. Optic and LA Thieves back in action today, the final day of qualifiers before we go to Spain. We got Rosalie and Nameless to talk about it. What are you excited for?
I'm excited for to see where these seeds are going to shake up. What do you mean? Our bracket still is not set in stone.
And we do know one thing, though. The bottom isn't going anywhere. Those 4 teams are stuck in elimination, but there's still a lot of room for wiggling at the top.
Yeah, no, we don't even know who our first seed is going to be just yet. It could come down to Toronto versus Texas tonight. We got some bangers. We're going to see what this bracket shapes up to be. One thing I do know for sure, though, is Major 1 is going to be incredible.
Absolutely. Of course, we'll be talking about all these teams in just a moment. But first, we got to get into a brand new game. We like to call it Hidden Heroes.
And what do we do in this game, sir?
How does it work? Well, I've got 4 players here with 3 clues each. I want you each to select one of these boxes and tell me who that player is. Allie, you're excited. You get to go first.
I get to go first? Okay. 5+ years on current team is insane. I think I want to go top right, and I think I want to go simp. I think I want to go simp for that top right one. No, it's Shotzi.
I was going to do that, and I was going to do Shotzi because I knew that one. Now I got to figure out a different one. But yeah, Shotzi's been insane, huh?
He has been literally insane. He has been, if not one of the best SMGs in the game, but it's been so tough because he's obviously had to go with one duo, and now we've put in Hook, and that was a little bit weird at the beginning, but throughout all of it, he has stayed so incredibly consistent across the board.
21% Spain, 100% Spain. This man has been laying down the damage. He's been clutch when they need him to most, and Shotzi is playing with a whole new level of confidence in Black Ops 6. Since adding in Hook, he is definitely speeding up his play, and a great player there in our first of 4. Let's take another look at a hidden hero. Ant, who do you think it's going to be?
Yeah, okay. So I'm going to go with bottom right, and I think that that's somebody on phase. It's okay. Well, we just gonna show it.
Oh, we just showed it. We took it. I thought it was phase 2, but that does make sense.
Can he go again?
I mean, hey, we show Kleenex. Listen, Kleenex is the boss. He's been absolutely flying. 5 years on Toronto Ultra, and that's been a very successful 5 years, right? And they've had different iterations of this roster. The newest one being, you know, some guys who not as historically haven't won as many tournaments, but they look like they're poised to make a deep run at their own home major. And Kleenex largely has been a big factor in their success.
5 years on the same team. I thought it had had to be a FaZe member.
Me
Absolutely.
too. I
But
thought about that.
Tobias and Insight have been in Toronto for a minute. They will be the home hosters of this Spanish event. Who are the other two? Who's rocking a .81 S&D KD?
I think that's Hydra bottom left. Yes.
Oh,
Yep.
nice.
Yep. And then
Top left, played on 4 teams in their career. Oh,
That one is
Guys,
Swift.
production.
Swift
Unbelievable.
production.
Yeah, slow it down.
Swift.
Okay, I want to guess these. All right.
Brains are big, but
Yo,
they're not
this
very
team,
fast today.
This team would be insane on vault.
This team would be great. It's literally all the SMGs. That's crazy. Is this like our top 4 SMGs? That would make so much
Would they
sense.
win in Search and Destroy?
Yes. They
Oh,
would.
yeah.
Those
Oh,
are
yeah.
all filthy SMGs, and you get to see all 4 of them in action today. And you can, of course, watch them in person if you make it out to Madrid. Why? Because that's where we're going for Major 1. Big money, and more importantly, some serious CDL points on the line. Come watch all 12 of your favorite Call of Duty teams in action out in Spain. It's going down next weekend.
I can't believe that it's already here. I mean, we've had such epic games. We've had so many Game 5s, and we know the level of play increases in a LAN environment. Everybody on local area network, good connection. Like, it's going to be lit, man.
Allie, we've got 6 teams in action today. 3 of them in our top 3. Boston challenging for a top 4 spot today. FaZe also an ability to climb, and Cloud9 looking for their second win.
I think one of the most exciting could be that Cloud9 could literally just play some spoiler for some seeds here, but also I think a win would be really important for them heading into that major.
One team that we have all eyes on today is LA Thieves. They were in the driver's seat. They were up 5-1 in a Game 5 over Optic. That would guarantee them a top 2 seed going into Major 1. They stumbled there, but they have a chance to regain some footing, and they still could technically steal the #1 seed going into Madrid with a clean sweep over Boston today.
Yeah, you know, they've been slipping a little bit, Chris. I mean, you talk about this team in Hardpoint, how hot they started, like 100-point club of teams looking so good. 1-5 in their last 6. They have been able to break hills as efficiently in the beginning. They're bottom 2 in breaking. So this team, they need some improvements headed into the major. I still have faith that they will make it to a Sunday. I don't think we've seen the best from Hydra yet in this game. A good sign, though, was his performance in Search and Destroy in the last series. He picked it up, had like 13 kills, absolutely frying. That's what they need, though. They need him and Envoy to be demons in Search and Destroy, and they'll steamroll teams.
And that's kind of been their biggest shortcoming, right? Because Envoy and Hydra are the ones that actually have .8s in Search and Destroy. So for LA Thieves, it's been a slippery slope as of recently, but again, it's one of those teams that we know they're ceiling from the beginning of the season. So for them right now, it's just cleaning up a little bit of those quirks.
LA Thieves trying to avoid a second loss. The first coming to Optic. Everything else has been a Game 5 or Game 4 victory. Will they get a clean sweep over the Breach today? That is a big question. A squad that we have a lot of confidence in today, though, is Atlanta FaZe.
Yes.
Why? You've won 7 straight matches. After losing your first 3 qualifiers, Atlanta have turned it on. Simp, the ace, the 1v4 was the spark they needed, and ever since, this team has been on fire.
They have been literally unreal. And you know what? Like, the biggest gripe with this team has been, like, the SMGs have been going, like, Simp has been going since the start of this game, but Draza and Celium had yet to feel very comfortable. And that's been a different story since the Simp 1v4, especially versus Boston. I mean, you're talking Draza dropping 37, Celium dropping 35, and then Draza in the Search and Destroy as well. Really kind of stepping up in whose role as this newer addition to this team.
And I'm looking at the numbers here. 18 map wins, 3 map losses across Hardpoint and Search and Destroy. Which record's more impressive, the 11-2 on Hardpoint or 7-1 in Search?
I think the Hardpoint turnaround, Chris. I look at this team, and they look lost before the break.
Yeah.
Like, weren't on the same page. They didn't know how to play this game, and they just figured it out, man. And, you know, one thing I'll say about FaZe, I love the way that they operate, right? They were looking like the worst of the top bunch. They go into that break, and they come back. They'll take you to any map across Hardpoint and Search and Destroy. They have the deepest map pool in the game, and look how they've been beating teams. 3-1, 3-1, 3-0s. Like, they're not even going to the Game 5s, right? In a game where we've had majority Game 5s so far this year. So FaZe, definite favorite for me going into Major 1.
Keep your eyes on Atlanta FaZe coming into the major. They've already won the minor, and they would definitely.
What up, chat? What up?
They can make it to a Sunday. Let's take a look though at who is in their way. We've got 2 teams at the top of the leaderboard, but only one remains 6-0. It's Toronto Ultra. Beans and Joe Deceives got a C+ for me when I first saw this roster. I have to eat those words today because they enter Major 1 with a perfect qualifier record. Do they stay perfect against Optic Texas?
I don't know. That's a tough one. I think this will be kind of one of the tougher matches they've had. So they got that win versus Atlanta FaZe early on, but remember, Atlanta started the season really slow. So since then, I feel like they've had some easier series, and this is going to kind of put Toronto back on the map in the conversation of like, all right, where do you stand against Optic Texas? Because Optic Texas have gotten much better since we last saw them.
And they got bumped out by Minnesota in the minor. Are you worried about Toronto at all?
Yeah, not really. I think Toronto's a really good team, and I think they should have 3-0'd in that match, right? That was just like a fluke situation where you didn't use the score streak. If you go back and watch that control. But yes, this team's so good at search and destroy, the best in the world at it right now. I mean, they're 9-0 across protocol, red card, and vault search, right? So coming into it, you know that it's going to be a tall mountain to climb in the veto process. And then in respawn, they fare very well. Like Hardpoint is top 4 in the league at the moment.
Now, you might be surprised to hear LA Thieves is not cheering on Toronto. They're actually cheering on the team that just beat them. Optic Texas needs to beat Toronto, but drop 2 games in LA Thieves to sweep for LA to have the #1 seed. But Optic, you basically control your fate right here, Ali. You beat Toronto. You got to think you got the tiebreaker. You're going to be the #1 seed going into the major.
100%. My only worry right now is going to be in their search and destroys and the amount of game 5s that they're going against some of these teams, because their respawn has been unreal. They're easily the best respawn team in the game right now, and so the biggest worry is going to be on that map 2s and 5s, because they're allowing a couple of slip-ups in these series. You can see it on their layout at the bottom here. Forced a couple game 5s. They lost the one versus Boston, able to win the ones versus LAG and LA Thieves, but same story today versus Toronto.
You know what? Like, I'm not worried about their search. You know, I look at it, and like even when we're watching the games, like in the middle of it, I'm like, they're making good adjustments. Like in the Carolina series, just got away from them in both those S&Ds, and like prior to that, they had won like 6 or 7 straight searches. So I think that this team is actually very clutch. They have a lot of ice between Shotzi and Dashy, but yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I think they're solid everywhere.
I completely disagree. They've won one of their last 5 search and destroys, so although they were strong at it at the beginning of the season, there is a slight decline. But I do not disagree in the sense that they do have very clutch, icy players. Like they have
there's ebbs and flows. They lost 2 or 3 6-4s in a row. Like
fucking love that win right there, dude.
Adjustments at some point. I think Optic does have that ice, and when push came to shove in a game 5, to come back from 1-5 against a team like LA Thieves is impressive, and to even win 7 searches in a row is also impressive.
Bro, they did it with a 1v2 clutch at the end. The odds were all the way against
Yeah, and they did it though.
I'm with Allie. The stats are on her side, but Nameless has been right. Ultimately, we'll find out who has the right predictions when we come back from the break. LA Thieves in action against Purge.
Upgrade your game with the Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League. The Esports World Cup is an official partner of the Call of Duty League.
Yeah, but then they just added it on. It wasn't for the merch drop, it was for the skins. Okay.
Make sure we're counting names, listening to each other. Listen. This time, we take everything.
It's time to talk Thieves versus Breach. Let's start here with the LA squad. You only dropped one match. That was to Optic. Your other loss came in the minor. That was to Atlanta, but the minor doesn't matter when we're looking at these qualifiers. Scrap, Envoy, Ghosty, and Hydra, a super team on paper. How are they performing in game?
They were performing incredibly well in game. I will say recency bias, though, slight decline. But again, we know the ceiling of all these players.
And on the other side, Boston has also been in slight decline. After being in our top 4, they dropped their most recent matchup, now sitting at 4
Oh, they brought
2.
it.
This is their final fight.
Yeah, for them, Search and Destroy is getting away from them a little bit. Hardpoint's still been solid. Love this team in HP. The Search and Destroy has to be better here, and it's a good time to go up against Thieves with Hydra and Envoy underperforming that game mode.
Let's take a look at our maps and modes. What's our search at game 2 and 5? You've got Red Card and Hacienda. So,
surprised.
Ali, I'll let you pull up.
Seeing a lot more red card
Give me
now.
the numbers. Who's got the better odds with these 5?
I love this for LA Thieves in the first half. You're talking about they're 2-0 on Vault, and then you move into that red card. They're also 1-0 there, and they're 2-0 on Hossie Control. So first half for LA Thieves, unbelievable.
I am surprised that Thieves let Red Card get through. I mean, Boston are 3-6 active search maps, but they're 2-0 on Red Card.
Right.
So I'm very surprised they let that get through. Just must be confident.
I feel like I haven't seen Boston on Red Card search since week 1 against Optic, though. So it's been a minute. Will they get the 3-0 and fight for the #1 seed? I believe in LA Thieves today. Sorry, Purge.
Yeah, I'm also going to go with the LA Thieves today.
Yeah, I picked Boston last time they let me down. I'm going with LA Thieves.
Joe Awakening, you hear that? Make Ant
Oh,
mad.
no.
I dare you. It's time to send it over to Shift and Study. How are you, lads?
Oh, we're doing great there, friends. We got a really fun slate of games today. I think that's the biggest part about it. For me, this is kind of a prove-it series, though. Thieves trending down maybe a little bit. I think kind of the loss of rewind is being mourned a touch by these guys. But on the other side for Boston, great hard point stats. They need to pick it up when it comes to the search of the control badly.
Yeah, I think Boston in general, like, this was one of those matchups where we were expecting them to be a lot closer, because if they would have played Atlanta a couple days ago a lot closer, then it could have been anyone's game. But Boston, again, in another prove-it series to show that they are one of those top 4, top 6 teams. And it's not going to be easy because you're going up against LAT, who love themselves some Vault hardpoint. I know the Dets touched on it, so do Boston, but Boston have some hiccups that they need to be able to fix here. You're not really good off rotations, you're not good on holds, you rely heavily on breaks. And versus a team like LA Thieves, who are going to be that team first overall at the new HP, properly set up, they usually don't allow breaks to happen. So Boston need to show a better game plan here.
I love this particular stat graphic for LAT, 1-5 in hardpoint this month. Where on the other side, Boston have really started to swim when it comes to the maps 1 and 4. 1 in particular, they always have been starting the series off to a pretty darn hot start. Of course, they lose most recently to Atlanta 0-3 form, but you know, I was kind of with Nameless, kind of feeling the spicy possible upset for Boston, especially with how they came out on Skyline. They are really strong at starting off a series off the right foot. It just comes down to what do you do after that? You know, a couple of losses in there that are map 5s because simply put, you just aren't winning search and destroys. Like, that's the big focus, I think, for this Boston team, especially looking at the major in a couple of days.
Oh yeah, 1-5 in their last 6, the majority of that being on Protocol and Hacienda. They've had some really close games. They have fallen short and deeply in about like 6-1s or 6-2s. It's just all about the teamwork whenever I think about this Boston Breach team. They don't really have like a star. I feel like I've been seeing these guys level up in their gameplay. I love Snoopy so far in year 3. He manages to play his life a lot more, manages to finesse a little bit more, Purge is a lot more consistent. Cammy's been the always fundamental AR, and then Awakening, we need him to just step up a little bit when you talk about that slaying. But this Boston Breach team is built on teamwork. When they show their teamwork, they're able to compete with anyone. Versus Atlanta FaZe, they did not have it. They showed at least in map #1, but every other map after that, they just simply got outclassed with talent. So a chance to right the wrongs here versus another top team at LAT. You have to start off on the right foot. With this map #1 needs to be yours.
I agree with that completely. And I think in particular, you know, you look at the difference between both of these two teams, and I think just kind of looking at the Boston team as it formed initially, I thought the one piece of this puzzle that I thought was going to be a guarantee was the combination of Cammy with Awakening. Like, both players, very fundamental. They know what they're going to get in terms of AR presence, but they've actually been the ones kind of not been able to keep the same pace that we've seen from Snoopy and now most recently from Purge. We're on the other side, you know, maybe I'm just kind of shortchanging it a touch, but it's interesting to look at this LA Thieves team, especially in this last month, because I think for a lot of people, you're looking at Hydra as being kind of the star of the show. And yeah, he started off the season super hot, but lately the Thieves just have not had the same kind of participation, I think, in the SMG category that other top 4 teams have had.
And I think the main category that you're talking about is their search and destroy. Like, they have not been able to figure that one out. You have Hydra and you have Envoy sitting
the
around
PPSH
0.75
looks sexy.
or 0.8. not really good in opening duel win percentage. That's been realistically the only thing holding them back, because I know they've been struggling recently in Hardpoint, but they went up against Atlanta, they went up against Optic Texas, they split between Miami, which they probably would want to go in 2-0 there, but those are some top teams that you have in HP. You got caught slipping a little bit. Nate Shot lets you know about it. They've been putting in practice, so hopefully going into the major, they are more prepared in Hardpoint, because they're going to need it.
Really, yeah, I think that's absolutely the right call. And again, it's one of those situations where I really do feel like this team has been hindered the most by Rewind no longer being in the pool.
Fucking Harry Potter joining the LA Thieves, dude.
I think looking at this series, if we do get to that map 4 protocol, we're going to be Boston and LA Thieves, who I think both
Fucking
these
ghosty.
teams need to add another map into their pool, because Vault is pretty solid, of course, for Thieves. We've seen it a lot. They're still very solid on it, especially what we saw versus Miami. They were in control the whole way through. But what can you do to add more to the mix? Because Hacienda hasn't looked particularly great. Skyline's a little wonky. We really haven't seen him play red card since the break either. So it's just like, what else is going to be a strength for this Thieves team, especially when it comes to the 1 and the 4? Whereas for Boston, you look at the series, I don't think you're upset about what you're seeing here. Again, there's a question mark kind of surrounding that map 4 protocol hardpoint, but I thought they looked pretty darn impressive when they did play the one time on Hacienda control versus Carolina. So I think there was a lot of elements here for Boston. You start off this series with a win on map number 1, you very well could upset here.
Yeah, because you're going to go into a bread and butter search and destroy where you're sitting at overall 2-0 on red card. It's been one of the maps that they have been finding a lot of success early into the season, haven't been able to recently putting into their season because people don't want to just play them on it. But even that Hasi control, I feel like both teams now have been finding a lot of reps on it. Boston played it one time, they were able to secure the W versus Carolina. But then for LAT, when we're talking about Hasi, we saw it on full display versus Miami. The SMGs need to get lost. You need to be able to slay. And when you look at this LAT roster, they have slayers from left to right, so they're gonna love themselves some Hasi.
I think it's just about putting it together. I don't think there's anything in particular to look at for either of these two teams and say this is the one problem that is currently occurring. It's just one of those things of, watching how Atlanta and Optic have developed over the last couple of weeks comparatively to Thieves and Boston. It just feels like they're not quite keeping the same pace that they started the season off of. I think that's the biggest part. Snoopy and Purge, really successful for Boston, especially Purge lately, but Snoopy in the early parts of the season, lightning quick, and it was working. It was catching a lot of teams by surprise. It's not really catching teams by surprise as much anymore. We're starting to see that gap really tighten up when it comes to the hard point. Where on the other side for Thieves, it feels like the participation from the AR line has not been as significant as it was in the beginning of the season. And some of that I think is just determined off of, again, I think Rewind was such a bread and butter for them early on.
Yeah, and they can't figure out Hasi. Like, that's the thing that's completely mind-blowing to me. You have players who have played Black Ops 4 back in the day. Probably some young... I know Scrap was definitely playing, even if he wasn't eligible to play in the CDO or even challenges because he was so damn young. But you should understand how to play Hasi. He's the only player right now, obviously, with that 700 damage on a map like that. Yeah, we got to be able to figure that out. And I only think it's only a little more time is needed for LATs to add that one into their map pool. And then the opposite side for Boston... It's just when I think about this roster, they have like that fundamental aspect where you're doing the things right. But then versus Atlanta, they just simply got outclassed in their individual skill because you're turning a lot of these engagements into one-on-one gunfights. Things aren't going your way. And then when you're also playing a team of that caliber, they are picking you apart one by one with the individual gunfights that lead to breaks. So going up against this LAT roster, you have to be the same thing. You got to make sure that your setups are flawless.
Big time prove it point. I mean, they started off the season with that big win versus Optic, but since then have not really defeated a top 5 team, which I think is kind of a huge issue when it looks at what is their ceiling maybe for the major. Online versus LAN, also a different conversation in whole. Speaking of online, a couple of ping issues. So we're gonna head away for just for a brief break. When we come back, my microphone will no longer be flipping and slipping, and we'll be back for map number 1 right after this. Don't go far.
Upgrade your game with the Scuff, the official controller of the Call of Duty League.
The Esports World Cup is an official partner of the Call of Duty League.
we're jumping right back into it. Just didn't want to sit there and give you guys a reiteration of the Call of Duty podcast. So we're right back into the action. Vault Hardpoint, map number 1, LAT, trying to fight for a top seed. Boston trying to elevate their position. It's back and forth. Purge already starting off with an opening double.
First match of the day.
Purge opens up with the double, gives his team an opportunity to still keep
Boston
it
already getting shit
scrappy
on.
towards P1, but the Thieves are able to clean him up. Now soak themselves up some P1 time. They do not have the spawns they want. They are playing for one wave of kills, potentially flip them out, but Snoopy, he takes Cat. Purge from top mid is able to find the second, and that's all 4 dead now. Spawns being blocked. Thieves have to break on in.
First test here for Boston as well. You talked about it in the preamble, Jay. The rotation percentage for Boston across hardpoint has been where they found a lot of success. The problem is they're not really doing as well in the efficiency margins of holding in. Wouldn't you know it? 10 seconds left on P1. The setup already crumbles, and LA Thieves now in control.
And now you're forced to break versus the Thieves roster, who don't really allow breaks to happen. 90% hold rate on this map. Is there going to be the team initially to start off this P2? You already have players like Scrap pushed out toward the front side of Pool. He's at 700 damage. Not today, Junior. Give me another 3. 7 and 1 to start.
700 damage in this life alone, Jay. And woo, almost has the better look at Snoopy from the high ground. Envoy trying to follow up, at least holds on to this position. Has Purge in his way, though. And okay, a couple eliminations allow Boston a chance to threaten from the front. Trades are decent. Spawns are still in. What else can Ghosty and Hydra do together? Apparently, everything. They're able to hold out of the hard point. Spawns will allow the reinforcements to get here. The Thieves are still holding on strongly.
Yeah, that's a misplay right there from Boston. Like, you found the initial 2 kills from the front, but instead of blocking those back spawns, pretty sure it was Snoopy. He decided to cut through front door and allows the Thieves to consistently spawn in towards the back.
Wow.
We're able to respond with the reinforcements and basically walk away with a full 60 here. You already have players like Envoy thinking about that rotation and knew a perfect start here for LA.
Yeah, this is one of those matchups where, again, like you talked about, it's kind of like the hold percentage of Thieves versus the break percentage for Boston, but at the same rate, there's also the battle for rotation. Both teams super successful at managing the macro level of the game. What can they do here, though, over the top of our most contested hardpoint P3? Envoy in a little bit of trouble. Cammy's able to find him through the back windows of the van, and it leaves Ghosty kind of out to dry in a 1v1 with Snoopy. Little finesse on both sides. Purge comes to assist, and Boston starts to put some influence on the left side of the minimap.
That's fantastic plays from Snoop. He only finds 1 kill in that entire engagement, but the finesse good enough to secure the spawns for his team. And now keep himself on this P3, but you're not going to be able to read the pinch already in front of you from the Thieves. That's a clean 4 dead. Ghosty pushed out towards gold. Spawns being black on the backside of the statue. And the Thieves are looking like they're going to win their rotation over towards next as well.
Oh, he said black, dude.
Just trying to brute force their way through the setup. Hydra good for 1 from the high ground. Has a look at Purge. Wow, great shots from Purge. Tough angle to be sure. And that's going to flip things immediately right back around again. But it almost feels like, who cares for LA Thieves? They're up almost 100 points if they can find one simple break. Boston will get in first, but they desperately need a hold.
Oh, that's a big kill coming in from Cammy. Allows Awakening consistently spawning towards the back. So now you're in your ideal setup. You have all your bases covered, but Hydra trying to sneak his way up through side door. The timing might work out. He's going to have an engagement versus Awakening. A little team shots with a team nade. Comes in to help. Now they have the pressure to attack from the front.
Oh, great movement from Snoopy. Able to kind of check the back door and then immediately turn his attention to the front, leaving Cammy by himself with reinforcements spawning up nearby. And as Cammy finds his 4th in a row this life, Boston will get right back into the hard point. Key time for them here, though, in this back 20. Thieves looking to threaten from the front, but pushing the issue is Awakening. Trades are good for Thieves, and now they have a free entry to try to contest, but Cammy from the back door shuts down the next 2, and the Thieves will be pretty empty outside of these last 10 seconds.
Yeah, spawns come in for Boston. All on the backside of P4, so they're going to walk away with that final 15. Going to be down by about 35 seconds going into the second half of this game. Early control of the mid-map area going in favor of the Thieves. Purge with the timing not good enough for the kill. So now you have everything covered if you're LA. Just soak up the hill.
Trying to set up the break attempt here is Boston. They do have the numbers. This comes down to finding the players inside the round hardpoint. So far, so good. Straight eliminations for Boston. Envoy, front door. Snoopy trying to threaten, but has to deal with the players all around him. He does well. So, okay, Boston, quick re-break into P1. Good read here as Snoopy finds himself now on 4 in a row. Clean movement, clean shots. Boston in control of the right side of the map.
Oh, you can already tell by Snoopy's face cam. He lagged out the game.
Lagged out, yeah.
He lagged out the game, so that is going to be tough. Don't know what the difference is.
Got a reset going.
That restart, but scan and repair on the side of Snoopy. Unfortunately, is going to lead to a potential restart from 0-0, but we have no idea what the score is. Coming back to us, Alan. That sucks.
Well, hi guys. It haven't been a while since we've seen each other. Jay, just talk to me though again, because I think this is one of those matchups where inherently, just looking at the numbers, all of the stats nerds that are out there are going to point to the same things. Hold percentage for Thieves, break percentage for Boston. Both teams great on rotation. And we kind of saw that, yeah, you look at the zoomed out macro focus of the minimap, Boston's doing all the right things,
yes,
but maybe some of it happens a little bit too early. They're getting broken apart pretty quickly. And then once they lose their setup, LA Thieves are running away. It just comes down to that P4 that they're able to salvage and keep the game tight initially that first rotation.
Yeah, I feel like for all three hills besides P2, they were outclassing them. At the end of that P1, everybody could not afford to die and then spawn all the way across the map. But they gave themselves the opportunity to break back in quickly with about 45 seconds still to fight for. It's just when you find those initial 2 kills, we have to make the heads up play to block that back spawn, because if Snoopy, instead of once he gets that first kill through mid lobby, pushes out towards the block, then all of LA spawn across the map. You keep the numbers at your advantage, and then you're able to flip them out. It's just those little things that the Breach need to make sure that they're on top of, because they were in that game from start to finish besides that P2.
Yeah, it really was. And I think the other part about that is you saw it as we rotated away from 2. Both teams rather, I should say, had players that were trying to make the play to get over to Art on the left side of the minimap behind P3, set yourself up for 4, and a couple of nice individual moments come through. I think in particular we saw Cammy really popping off, the difference maker, I would say, between 3 and 4, but Snoopy as well, finding a little bit of time to kill some time and space with Thieves trying to rotate against them. It's just, again, this is a very selfless team, which is something I feel that we talk about with squads like Minnesota, but it's just one of those situations, like, for both those 2 teams that we mentioned, both this one here, Boston, and for Minnesota, it doesn't feel like there's enough there to get past the top teams that are in the game. Yeah, you go back to December 6th, Boston has that surprise win versus Optic, but really since then, it kind of feels strange to put an evaluation on what this team is, because Carolina's looking a little bit softer than maybe what we expected from the minor. They get blown out of the water by FaZe. You have a tough matchup here today, and just by all intents and purposes, it looks like their seeding going into the minor, or part of the major at Madrid, is also going to be a bit of a test for these guys.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they are technically locked currently at the number 5 spot. Only team that could potentially pass them up is going to be Atlanta in their matchup, later on today. But
yeah,
if you are Boston, you just want some confidence, man, going into the major, because the way that you lost versus Atlanta FaZe in a clean 3-0, even though it was a very tight map, number 1, you got blown out in the search and destroy, you got blown out in the control. We can't have that, because this is a team who relies on that teamwork. And when their teamwork isn't working, then it starts to turn into like, I gotta go do this, I gotta try to be Superman in this scenario. And those plays get shut down when you're playing some of the top talented teams that we have, like the Atlantas, like the LA Thieves. It's just, you need to make sure that everything is clicking between you guys first off to start, before you start branching out for the individual plays.
Yeah, I agree with that evaluation. And I think there is something to be said, again, like, where do you put Boston right now in terms of the top 12 teams, or the 12 teams? Where do you slot them in? Because in my mind, like, I still don't feel like I've seen enough to put them into the top half, which is, I think, a little bit of a blasted take for some people, because their hard point is so impressive. I just feel like we don't know what we're going to get out of this team when it comes to search and destroy and control, because there have been some moments where they've been able to survive and kind of hang on to a couple of late search and destroy rounds, but there's also been moments where they've been blown out in search, blown out in control. So it's just, how do we get our feet underneath us for this Boston team to be a little bit more consistent in the 2-3-5? And then I think you start to see that dark horse potential really come to life.
Yeah, that's why I feel is the only difference between them and Minnesota. Like, Minnesota has the ice and search and destroy.
Yeah.
They've had multiple controls where you think they're going to lose, and in the final 5 seconds they clutch on up with an insane plane coming in from Mero. So they have the 2-3-5. Boston, on the other hand, sort of had the hard points. And if you're Boston and Minnesota at that aspect, you need that 2-3-5 to at least somewhat go your way, because you're going up against these top teams who are great in hardpoint, who have the slaying ability to outkill you just to simply break some of your setups. So it needs to be that S&D, that control game changer. And for Boston to be, what, 1-5 in their last 6? I know a lot of that has been on Protocol and on Hacienda, but with the more reps that you play, losing is learning. Eventually they'll get a dub on one of those and add it to the map pool.
No, I think you're absolutely right. And again, just to kind of speak to the strengths of this team, surprise enough to say, ranks 3rd in hardpoint with the 3rd best overall point differential, only behind Optic in 2nd and FaZe in 1st when it comes to win-loss versus their average point differential. So again, they're hanging when it comes to multiple life modes. It just comes down to what can we do to get that search and destroy to be a little bit more significant, because like the desk has also said, we've seen more map 5s this year than maybe any other game to this point in its lifespan. So it is calling on teams to have to be able to ice up, and that's where we've really seen this Boston team kind of shudder a couple of different times when it comes to either map 2 or map number 5.
Yeah, I feel like as the season goes on, though, like we'll stop seeing so many game 5s because teams will start to pull away. Just right now, everybody's basically around that same bubble of like, we understand this about the map, we understand this is the best way to play it. And usually teams are just copying and pasting other teams of what they're doing to have more consistency in their game. But as you take a look at the bracket, remember, this is unofficial so far. There's a lot of things that can change. There's 3 teams currently playing for the #1 seed. LA Thieves need a clean 3-0 to even give themselves a shot due to map win percentage. Optic, they need to make sure that they have a clean matchup versus Toronto later today. And if Ultra win, all they need to do is win. Don't worry about no map count or nothing like that because they'll be sitting top 7-0. So it's just who wants it more on Sunday.
Yeah, the big movement points here are, again, the Ultra versus Optic head-to-head is going to have immediate implications for the #1 seed, but also FaZe, I think, the team that is surging the most right now, a chance to possibly come into their series and take away a spot that would have them likely playing against that Carolina Royal Ravens team,
which
would feel great, I think, comparatively to having to play up against a team like Optic early. I want to talk about the lower bracket, though, a little bit here, Jay. I think it's one of those situations, you look down towards the bottom, I wouldn't want to play Minnesota or LAG right now. Minnesota, I feel like they could beat anybody, and LAG, we got to remember that they had one of the toughest schedules in this Major 1 qualifying stage compared to everybody else. They had to play Carolina, LAT, Optic, Minnesota. They beat Cloud9, but they also had to play Toronto. So it's like, you look to the bottom, LAG in 9th, that's a terrifying team, and Minnesota in 10th is a terrifying team as well.
Yeah, Minnesota's a gritty team. LAG, there's world champions, so you best believe they're going to turn up on lane. And even Cloud9, Alan, they've had a tough early into the season. They had to go up against the Atlantas, the Optics, the LAT. They had to play all those guys. But it hasn't really clicked for them yet. Now they're going to go to local area network where even with a 1-5 record, potentially the matchup today later on versus Atlanta could give them some confidence going into the major. I wouldn't want to play either one of those teams in the losers bracket.
It's going to be a fun day. We're really going to learn a lot about not just these last remaining 6 teams that we need to see before we head to Spain, but in particular, the ability to move and try to change up to a more favorable seed is on the line. Thank you for tuning in to the Shift and Study podcast part 2. We're going to get back in the game, and we haven't heard officially, but I would imagine that we're probably going to be starting from a fresh restart here at 0-0. We don't know that for sure. Okay, we're here for production. That is the case. We just work here. We don't have the ability to start the game. We don't have a big red button or anything like that. So, Fall Hardpoint, Jay. Again, I think we got a good indication of the things we set up already coming to life early. Let's see how the breakoffs change, though, as we get ready for our second restart.
Alrighty. Boston need to show improvements on their P2. LAT need to give themselves a little bit more opportunities off that P3 to P4, but it seems like the game is once again broken, chat. Sorry about that. You're going to have to probably look at me and Alan again. And you thought that podcast was finishing? Nope. We're right back into it.
This is now the Study and Shift show. That's
hello.
We had Maven Sunday last weekend.
We did.
Now you're getting Shift and Study on this Sunday. That's what we got. I heard Miles yesterday also say that even though we weren't on the broadcast yesterday, Map 5s routinely just happen. We may be on for a while today. I don't know about you. I'm going to get some lozenges, get ready to go, get some popcorn, whatever you happen to have.
It's okay.
Get it in hand.
Alan, who is your guy to watch in this matchup right here? Like, who's the game changer for both teams?
I'm going to go with someone who I just think needs to play well for, like, again, the movement to start to kind of look at this team from a more serious angle. I'm going Gigawake, dude. I think Namos would be happy to hear that because I think we know what we're going to get out of Purge and Stoopy. We saw it immediately on our first map startup, but I think Wake has to have a good series here for this Boston team to start to kind of move around in people's minds when it comes to power rankings, especially with a guaranteed upper bracket start. It just comes down to who do you play?
I like to take on Giga. I would 100% go with that when I was talking about Boston. And I think on the opposite side for LA, I'm looking at Envoy. Dillery had the best birthday going up against Optic. Lost that one versus Kenny, his old-time teammate. Yeah, he wants to make up for it today. So, Envoy, I'm watching you.
Well, we're going to be watching each other, watching you, watching...
Yo, let's all go get on a cruise ship and get hit by one of the sliding doors, dude. We'll get 21.5 million out of that in court.
Don't go far.
We were hyping this up, right? It's the 4th matchup. You know, we've seen you guys constantly in grand finals. You guys came out and made that look easy.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, we've been saying it online the whole time. Online respawns are different. No sound EQ. We're a way different team, and we just showed it right there. Also, people seem to forget who built that camp. I know how they play. I taught those kids how to play Call of Duty, so don't forget that. All right, like let's.
It's like both sides. Watch out, he might be ironing you.
I think he's looking for you.
He is. Low boat.
Yes,
good map, Ken. Holy God. He just took us home.
Oh my God.
Bro, I can.
No way. Man. Oh my God, I should have.
Joe, bro. Yet she should have
thought he won that. I actually thought.
Yeah, weak, close.
Nice. No one there. Calf.
Yeah, Calf killed me. Top out.
Calf weak.
Falcon.
Alex jumped down. He's still in the yellow car. Weak.
I can kill him. I'll point, bro.
One's out now.
Mid cut.
Too slow, buddy. You haven't got time to go dumpster. You haven't got time for that. I got world starred. Oh my God.
Yeah, he was shooting guff. I've just seen that in the death cam. The guys jumped off plan. I'm like, surely he's getting this kill.
Yo. It was bad. It was bad.
Pure guff coming out.
I had the wrong attachments on.
Yep, he's absolute.
Holy shit, speak. Yo, tell me how. Tell me how.
You're running now.
Play 2 once.
Play your life, dude. He's in. He's just running away. Just run.
Go. Come on. Come on now.
Yo, this guy was so much. Go, man. Let's go, bro.
Let's go, man. Now we get the dog phase again.
Try.
God damn. Me, man. Wow, bro. I'm not even trolling, dude. That one shot there. Literally that 4.
Can't win it on the point. Scrap and the boys get it done.
Back on the f***ing desk, play. Back on the f***ing desk.
You're f***ing dog shit, kid. How did
Insight's not gonna see it. Kleenex gonna get caught off guard, or is he? He gets one. That's a decent 1-for-1 trade. Insight right back over, looking for a little bit of help from Scrap. 2v3, selling the cross, dealt with by Scrap. Sip also seen on the cross. 22 seconds. Draza trying to work this with Scrap able to turn this down to a 2v1. Just down to Sip. Not gonna happen. Shut your mouth. Toronto in the grand finals here at home. Bickle now. Last one up. He's got a trophy though, right? He threw a trophy out. He threw a trophy out. I think this might be too slow. Either way, he got it.
It's very nice.
Oh, he does get it. Yeah, it was too slow. He gets it. He just hops it right away. Nobody checks the bomb.
One tractor for sure, okay?
Above, one shot.
Heard you.
Above dead.
Nice, good job.
Above dead.
Bomb, one shot. One bang. Nice.
More square. Draws on bomb. One shot dead.
Nice. Last guy broken.
Bring me. I'm gonna hop.
He's still broken.
Broken. Weak on you guys.
Nice.
Is everyone up? They're mindful. Yo, next.
Ooh, welcome back. We're taking off faster than a Saquon Barkley touchdown to the first plays of the game for the Eagles. Here we go. The LA Thieves, Boston Breach. Try again. As we talked about it before, we'll talk about
Damn, full reset. All right.
things down. Okay, how about that for being off to the races?
Yeah, I guess LA Thieves were able to spawn it on the opposing side now to start this game. Lisa clean for dead. And now Boston now needing to find
Full reset on the hard point.
Now they're keeping it mixy, working their way through bottom ball. They're winning the numbers fight. Hydra still 3-0. Will get taken care of. So Boston clear their way on out. Now it's their time to soak up time.
Just great discipline for Boston right there. After just getting pieced up playing off that right side hallway. Get your setup, get your surround. Don't panic. Don't just keep running in one by one. And this is what you get rewarded with. Absolute perfection on their re-break and follow-up. That's going to move the spawns again right as P2 opens. And technically speaking, this is already better for Boston than what we saw in the first go.
Yeah, way better for Boston because now they have numbers. Still contesting for those P2 spawns, but still aggressive through that mid-map. Is going to spawn 2 players now out. It's a 4v2 off the roto. Snoopy tries to take control of the back. He gets traded out. And now Kimmy, last player here to try to make something happen. Miraculously is able to pop a double and give his team another opportunity to break through the front.
How does he make that happen? Little Septex at the back door, still off the reach and doesn't get traded out. And LA Thieves are still going to hold on to the majority of the first 20 seconds. The follow-up hit already dismantled. And now you got a situation for Boston. This is going to take another 15 to 20 seconds if they even want to try to give this another go. So Purge is going to try to stay amiss, get lost on the map. Not going to happen. And the Thieves are going to pull away with about 40 plus seconds here on P2.
Yeah, Boston is still giving it one more last push though. And they're able to execute it. Lisa 3 dead, but the rotation 1 in favor of the Thieves. Now Now it's Envoy's opportunity to have one of those Snoopy-like plays that he did before the restart. He has to finesse 2 players. Here's a fight with Purge.
Yeah, decent scrap time play for Boston as well on the exit. This is a massive battle here. Envoy caught on the reload. Cammy will get the pistol up. So now Boston holding onto the favorite side. Plus, they also clear out the street completely. Someone can jump on and get some time here, especially with Purge getting a read that the next attempt for Thieves is largely coming to the middle of the map.
Yeah, that's fantastic play so far from Boston. They fight for that final 20 there at P2. They initially went the rotation over towards P3, P4 chain, but all of these players eyeing up with those ARs from long distance are able to find every single kill in the feed. Now Boston Force with 30 seconds left to get them off of this time and also think about that rotation, but none of the gunfights going their way.
Now, really clean stuff in the middle of the map right now for Thieves. Holding on with just Hydra. Spawns are still in, though, for LA. On the preferred side of the map. Boston getting some needed time here, though, on 3. Actually, surprisingly, a lot of time here on 3. And now a chance to try to rotate through the middle of the map once again. Shots coming out from Snoopy. Can't really do much to contest this, and Hydra's got the freedom to hit a pinch over the top of the hard point. He's looking to triple up, but could only take down 2. But this is a lot of extra pressure on Boston on this rotation to 4.
And this is what that 90% hold rate from the Thieves needs to show straight. Because on P4, this tends to be the money hill. All their bases are covered. They have everyone with an AR in the back pocket watching those long distance gunfights. But Envoy is going to fall on the right. And now that leads to Ghost getting overwhelmed. Players now have to turn all the way around. Thankfully, still kills going their way. You have those back spawns. You're ready to contest it.
Yeah, dumpster spawns for Boston, so they're going to be pretty bunkered up in and around the hard point. Thieves trying to hit multiple points of ingress here, but Awakening steps up, shuts down 1, gets damage on to another, making life a little bit easier for the Radiant Breach players around the hard point. Cammy secures a trade. Snoopy spawns up in place, but now the next threat is already at your front door. And actually, it's at your back door as well. Hydra playing over the top of the patio, has a battle with Snoopy, but they just finesse each other, and the Thieves, all the meantime, are going to get most of this time here in the back 30.
Yeah, but you would want that to be a lot more dominant. Like, not one player drops early on into that hard point, but once Envoy falls, they instantly get pushed out towards that right side, and Boston do a great job of just not allowing that full 60 to get away from them. Now, we get back over towards the P1. Hydra and Envoy combined for 2. Already have the numbers advantage to work their way back in towards mid connector. You have lost track of Hydra, and he makes you pay for it 4 in a row for Hydra.
And really, since the restart, this is about the same score that we had, and it's come in a lot of the same ways that we saw from the first attempt at the lobby. So 102 plays 80. Boston working on, again, another little bit of a delayed setup around the back. Snoopy, he is off to the races on this game. 18 and 10. Shut down by Envoy, who's also having a great map to this point. And that'll be enough for the Thieves to, again, just spawn up where they want, try to control the right side of the map, and while this is all happening, Envoy hasn't left the hard point, so it's looking really good for LAT.
Yeah, this is easy. They're just consistently soaking. They read the parallel spawns that came in. When you spawn over towards gold, they were able to withstand all those gunfights, and now with only 10 seconds left, back your way on up. We need these P2. Ghosty gonna play real safe, but he might be overwhelmed. There's 3 players from Boston trying to attack through the front side. They're winning all the gunfights, but Ghosty, your time to strike. And with that double, if he would have just played his life, his teammates are still gonna spawn in towards the back, so another opportunity.
Yeah, they spawn towards the backside of the truck, but you can see trophy spawn here for Boston on the backside of Palms, and they just get the guns up and light up the hit from the Thieves. That was about as close as 2 spawns could be to each other around the backside of P2, and Boston's prevail. Now the next hit, with still a lot of time remaining on this hard point, all coming from balcony side. Snoopy gonna need a little bit of assistance. He's again got the benefit of the breach spawning close, but the kills are on here, and here comes the break attempt from the front. It's looking good. Boston trying to hang as they try to re-break, and we're gonna jump over to catch the comms with the Boston breach.
Each other, money. Stop gap, remember, guys. I need to I'm going to do podcast. Yeah, okay. Pushing up, bro. Top on, Hydra, 1 shot. Yo, wait, I guess can be controlled by as well. Now you play the control play. Yeah, bam. There's 1 shot, absolute. There's 2 mid doors, 1 to the pinch money. Mid doors person on top part.
Nice. One time in arch. Yep.
Heard you.
Scrap top part. I'm pre-moving top part, bro. Yeah. Scrap still peeking top part still.
Bottom bar.
Here, take it down. He's smoking.
Yeah, been on me.
Hydra top part. I can't help you, Evan.
I don't know where's got mid, man. One guy's on mid, bro. One guy's on mid.
We never killed him. I hear you. I can help you on the scan on the right.
Time and low time.
Top part, bro. You can Yeah, statue. I'm one shot. Nice. He's gonna be in the back.
That's one.
Yeah, he's gonna be in the back. Yo, back right, back hard, boys. And then front door. Front door, go see, become time one. He's back hard. Back hard, dead. I'm one shot. I'm one shot.
Yeah, I'm on him.
He's gonna be in the back. I'm one shot. Yeah, I'm back.
I'm just making him push.
Yeah, both there. I'm one shot. Scrap, bring me to the set. Nice, good shit. Yeah, I spawned that, boys. I spawned that. Front door, scrap. Nice. Cat, one shot. I think so. I think he has a spawn first. Yeah, I nice.
Take our time, guys. We have a lead, right? Take our time.
Yeah, I'm playing.
Go.
Nice, good shit. I'm just on cat.
Jay, talk to me here, because it kind of, as it looks, it seems like Boston just keeps fighting off their heels, but they're in the lead all of a sudden. A lot of it thanks to this guy.
Yeah, and it was the Thieves right there making the adjustments on P4 to put more bodies on the right side of the map, but they were just way too turtled in their setup. You gave up all map control. Boston breaches a fly press through mid statue, found a couple kills, spawned you all the way out, and now they have a 20-point lead and consistently running up the score. 33
turn my
18.
kickoff.
Give me the Hellstorm. Give me number 8. Snoopy is doing it all.
Oh my goodness, 35-18, 2-11 in the hard point, and Boston behind the pretty much solo effort from Snoopy. It's going to get past the
Damn, the reset Boston's been able to turn this around.
How do you stretch across the map? 4-man feed here for the Thieves. They're going to get the scrap plus still own control.
Thieves got spawns.
Yeah, this is where Boston can take their time, because that Hellstorm could play a big part to this break here at P2. You want to set up this pinch. You want to spawn them out across the map. You already have at least a couple players because that new hill is yet to pop. Snoopy, go back and get that one. Yeah, now the spawns are ours. They can win the game here at P2. Might as well just call them the Hellstorm to account for everyone.
What is it about Boston and record-breaking kill totals with these SMGs? Snoopy is 37-19. Cammy collects a double on the backside of P2. Septech stun on the way in. Snoopy gets dealt with. Hardpoint open for now. Cammy has to step in. In fact, he just slides in on his back. 220 to 179. Hit developing from the front. Cammy shut down, and LA will supersede the setup inside the hill.
I just want to try to trap them in towards the backside, but they're able to flip the spawns out. So all of Boston trying to break it from the front and middle map. Envoy is able to find the double. Numbers still in the advantage of the LA players. Cammy finds 2 in response. Back spawns in favor of Boston. This hill is just so damn mixy as they're going to walk away with that final 15, get closer to that 250-point mark. And now it's just all about when does this Hellstorm come into play.
Yep, that scrap time is massive for Boston. Thieves would have loved to have at least contested that a little bit more. Scrap looking for information to the back windows. Also catches information that Cammy's up top at gold. Does he get an angle at it? Catches the head, that's enough to at least eliminate him out of the picture. LA now looking to crack past the 200-point mark, but Purge from the front looks good. Snoopy to follow up with the SMGs. Again, do the job that's needed. One more possibility for LA. Try to extend this map. They do have the chance to kind of hold on to the new side, but they have to play inside the hill.
Yeah, you just had to force it to the next hill. That's all your focus is right now. If you are LA, get it over to that P4, and we will not make that same mistake again for the 3rd time. Hellstorm gets invested. All it is for comms, no kills come in with it. But only 5 seconds till Boston win.
Yep, and you have to touch this Purge in a spot to contest a little while longer. Scrap deals with it. Hold on a second. Snoopy from the side. He may be able to win the game right here. Ghosty has to slide the touch. It stops at 249. Ghosty finds the kill. LA still hanging on, but you got to stay in the hard point if you're Thieves. And it's just too much pressure. Boston behind another near record-breaking performance from Snoopy. Take a map 1.
Man, he had 40 kills, Allen, with almost 3 minutes of hill time. If you're looking for a guy who's going to be the game changer, this is it. We're talking about literally doing it all. You need a two-piece? I'll get it for you. You need rotations? I'll get it for you. You need somebody in the hill? That's all me, and you can even see it in the best play. He was dancing right there on LA. That young man so far from year 2 to year 3 Snoopy. He's a different player, and he showed it there for Boston to go up 1-0.
Unreal stuff. I mean, like we said, we saw Purge 45. And then you get back into it again, and wouldn't you figure, Boston on an opening respawn continue to find the success. 3,600 damage from Snoopy, and I gotta just say, 25 and 30 for Awakening feels like, okay, but 3,900 damage, he actually does more than Snoopy does with the 14 assists. Not bad at all, but it's just a simple fact of the matter that Snoopy gets 41 with 240 in the hill and 12 objective kills. That is unbelievable numbers out of the young gun. And now all of a sudden, again, like we talked about in terms of this series, Jay, this just establishes what Boston want. Opening leads against good teams. It just comes down to following it up. And if we continue to see performances like they had here in the macro level, I don't know, I'm feeling pretty good about Boston today.
Yeah, the good thing about following it up is that they got that red card search and destroy, which is their bread and butter. Haven't played it in quite some time, but this was their go-to S&D map in the beginning of the season. Finally have an opportunity to play it here. These probably threw this one into this series because they did just recently walk away victorious versus Optic in a clean 6-3. We saw an insane 1v1 between Scrap and Dashy, but they were just making the adjustments on the defensive side was the biggest thing. The good thing for Boston is they're also a team that's great on defense. So it's going to be a scrub on that side, and then whoever's going to be able to make more objective plays on the attacks. And we've seen a lot of reps out of Boston hitting those early aggressive pushes on one way, thinking about that rotation over towards new. So Thieves got to be ready for the Mon games.
Agreed. It's one of those situations. And when we were in that listening, I mean, all I could think about the whole time was like Boston continued to play off their heels, getting rotation wins, but not being able to put together a solid setup on hold. But it's something about these SMGs, man. They find just the smallest window to attack, and when they do, it's just all action. I mean, a little bit of bless up, I think, on that second P2 as well, like spawning behind palms. Cammy just gets the AR, if a trophy system goes down, he lights up 3. Like, that is where you see it on the chart. It was 123 to 80. Then all of a sudden, you get about 40 points in net positivity coming out of Boston. That's what keeps them in the game in the first place. And then we eventually, again, just get back to that 4-to-1 rotation and back into P2 again. This Boston team just continues to be mixy, and it allows them a chance to sneak away a tight one.
Yeah, I think that's the biggest thing that you're looking at if you're LAT looking at this game, is that from P3 to P4, we won the rotations both times. But we only got 30 seconds the first time around. Boston was able to keep it scrappy, which is usually a full 60. But then when you get to the second attempt, to go from P3 to P4, you go from 145 to 164. You only gained 19 points when you were fully set up. They were just easily broken into on both of those money hills, and you cannot allow that to happen on the money hill of all.
Yeah. Well, let's transition the conversation because now we go to red card search and destroy. We kind of talked about it, talking through both of these two teams on this map. Thieves look good in this map early on in the season. We haven't seen a lot of it, but I actually want to go more in particular to Boston because it's just like early on when we didn't know what this Boston team was going to give us in terms of how competent they would be, how successful they would be. It's another map where Snoopy can get lost and he can just do his own thing. And it just feels like that is a recipe for success for this Boston team. Just comes down to, can they do that again after not seeing them on this map in quite some time?
Yeah, but hopefully they have the same exact strategies because it worked out flawlessly the first couple of times you played it. Haven't played it in basically like a month. LA, they played it recently in their matchup versus Optic. So you understand what they're going to throw at you. So they might be more prepared for this map than LA are because they haven't played it in a month. So with a team that just played it last week or a couple days ago, we know exactly what you're going to do. We're probably going to play the counter.
Let's talk about not just the search and destroy overall, but some of the details around it. Again, the attacking percentages, not particularly great for either of these two teams, but it comes in different ways. You look over, I think, in particular to the individuals for LA. The SMGs have just not been super successful in the opening duel percentage. It hasn't really allowed them to have numbers when it comes to getting the bomb down. Thing is, when they do get the bomb down, they're actually very successful at it. But I think it's just how many times they're actually able to plant, which is where it becomes a little bit questioning because on the active maps, they rank overall like 10th, I think, when it comes to like the ability to plant. So it's one of those situations of, can you actually get the bomb down here from the opening side, the offensive side?
Thieves are going to be looking for some success. on the offense. Boston want to stay strong on their defensive, where they usually find it in those first bloods. I know the stats so far this month in Search of the Short just haven't treated them well. 0-4 this month in S&D. When S&D wins you championships, the fact that they're still keeping these series really, really tight is mind-blowing to me. Tells me that their teamwork is on point, but into the round one we go. Boston going to be on the attack early on. No trophy systems on both ends. So a lot of aggression over towards Edge.
Yeah, Hydra's actually looking to step up into the middle of the staircase here, and Boston have to kind of respect this. Opening shots will tag Snoopy up, and Boston actually are finding some headway towards B. Ghosty initially was watching mid-map, so he's got no info on this cross, plus the doors are covered. So Purge is going to get a ton of space here at catering, and that should lead to a plant.
Yeah, this should be a free bomb plant. Hopefully, if you're the Thieves, you got nut, you got stuns, you got nades. Then you can try to invest and contest this early on, because you already got to read. They're going to be in towards the cafe. But both teams are just playing for that opening duel.
Yeah. Purge has the cross. Cammy has the initial long-range battle through the doors. Bomb is not committed for a plant here, and Cammy gets stuck on the doors towards the bleachers. So now all of a sudden, Purge is trying to step forward to catch someone off guard, and that's not going to work. Messy stuff here from Boston. Looked that they had the right read on the rotation, but did not commit the play to the bomb, and the Thieves get there defensively to contest.
The only reason why they don't commit is because they knew that there was a couple investments of the nades and the stuns over towards Hedge early into the round. But if someone goes for that bomb plant, you get naded off. It's basically a GG. So on both ends, they were playing for that opening gunfight. But I'm probably, if you're Boston, with all that map control that you took away with the game plan early into the round number one, I'm instantly trying to get that bomb down, making the play come to me. Because these are just able to pick you apart one by one. Boston start to panic a little bit. You start thinking potentially someone's on the pinch. It's been way too much time and someone looked at it. But Cammy drops first, and everybody else like dominoes. Thieves take first.
Little moment of indecision or just non-committal, possibly costing Boston on that rotation to B. They're going to set up a much more passive defense here with players and Snoopy actually just watching over to maybe even hit in towards mid windows. Interestingly enough, his Envoy's actually passed him a touch, and if he can find timing, this might be a free first blood immediately followed up by a rotation to B as well.
Oh yeah, first blood already is accounted for though. Purge is going to fall across the map due to the hands of Scrap. So now it's on Envoy to basically secure this round. There goes kill number 2 on Snoopy. Everybody rotate over towards B, play the 4v2. Let's just play.
Yeah, absolutely the case. You're going to have Scrap holding deep to watch the mid cross to keep the flank safe. Everyone else focused on the information game as the bomb is being planted by Ghosty. Cammy, little bounce pass. Hard to say if that tags Envoy or not, but it was pretty well positioned. Ghosty off the bomb plant, gets a look at Awakening, helps out instead though onto Cammy. Good eliminations, LA Thieves now up big.
Yeah, just a very easy round right there from LA. You start off in the first 15 seconds, finding that early first blood. But then once Envoy puts himself in a position on backside of that B site, you were just waiting for him to make a play. Once he secures that kill onto the player and Snoopy covering that B bomb, rotate back, 4v2, plant the bomb, trade it out. Easy round there for Thieves to go up 2-0.
Yeah. And it's just good reading of the doors being opened up for Envoy. He could wait, make sure no one rotates back. Once he feels like everything's all clear and all calm, you've got teammates nearby that could secure a trade. Then you start to hunt for the player looking to get sneaky in those back hallways. So really well done in decision making, and the SMGs have started off very nicely all of a sudden, especially for Envoy up 3-0 early, Scrap 4-0 early. Barely kills to talk about here for Boston so far, as they will get a round 3 trophy. RCXD in their way though to slow things down.
Just gaining info early on is Scrap. Slowing down their aggression. He has all of A side covered. And Boston is just waiting for an angle to potentially take down that RC before the play call gets called. But it's still just a duel off. The car stopping everything.
That's so annoying. It's on one corner, then it's back up the stairs to another. And now you're down to 45 seconds. Awakening is starting to get a little bit anxious about when this car is going to pop through, but instead it's actually a long-range first blood onto Ghosty out of the Cammy's AR. Purge has gotten into a position top 3rd. So as long as Boston can avoid this crossfire setup, Purge should be able to do something, but no, he shoots at Ghosts. And the trade is in. Now the clock is at issue, Jay.
Yeah, you only play for that kind of engagement if you guarantee the kill, but Purge just gives up his life for free. Now to 3v3, the bomb gets planted. Thankfully, Cammy makes up for it. Takes down Hydra. Envoy with the response, 2v2.
Can't get out of there, though, so now it's just down to Scrap. Able to find, the information onto Snoopy. Not an easy battle. Position. He's tagged up to 2 HP. Awakening not in position to immediately follow up on the damage, though. So we go to the 1v1. Time becoming a bit of an issue for Scrap, and he's going to pull out the knife and try to go quickly, and as he does, Awakening catches him at mid-map to get Boston on the board.
Yeah, but that's a round right there. If you're Thieves, you can't give that one up. 45 seconds get wiped off the game clock due to the RC car's positioning to shut them down at A. If you're Ghosty, your job is to simply throw shoulders around that mid-map. We cannot afford to die because as soon as you drop, Purge takes that space away. Even though Purge does absolutely nothing with his life, you just gave Boston Breach an opportunity now.
Yeah.
Two dropping, and everyone else stacked over towards that B site to get the bomb down towards A for free. And then it turns into a 1v1. Awakening new. I'm going up against Scrap. There's a lot of time on the game clock. He's probably going to try to hit a route and catches him off the rotation for Boston to secure their first.
Be really curious to see what angle Cammy had for that first blood. It didn't look like he was going to be in a spot to even take a battle. But we jump on board with him here. Tag to touches. The Thieves are throwing lots of shots once again over towards B, but keep your eye on number 5 and wide. Purge has once again gotten through the middle of the map, but has to retreat back to this place. Snoopy in the middle of the map. Now this back hallway position turns it into a double. Bomb now down. Numbers will go in favor of Boston. Snoopy gets another read. Now potentially on for the ace. Just looking for Scrap.
Yeah, he's looking for it. It's a 2v1 though. You want to make sure you're playing together, playing this trade out. You have the bomb down. You're playing back-to-back. 45 seconds to work with. Scrap is working his way around the pinch. Does he have a stun and a nade to potentially gain some info before he works himself inside the fight?
Yeah, he may just cross in front of Snoopy, though. That's the problem. Boston not giving away any information, and Snoopy walks away with all 4 big back-to-back rounds for the Frog.
And you could think right there, if you were LA, like, they're probably thinking, all right, Envoy, you're in a one-on-one versus Cammy. You win that, we're instantly sending it. The fact that he was able to win that gunfight, chef's kiss, but then Snoopy plays it patient through the side door, does not slow down the aggression for the third, and then lines up the final for the ace. He was taking over at map number 1, and so far he's doing it here as well.
Great stuff. I don't know where he came up with that frog thing that he was doing all through challengers and into last year, but kind of vibe with it. 4 in a row for Snoopy. 7 and 3. Tie game all of a sudden. Awakening trophy system down towards the back steps, denying any of the Thieves early information. And now RCXD gets called in for another, but this time Ghosty gets the better of Cammy, and it's early numbers for the Thieves as the RC again just kind of holds this front staircase.
Yeah, now this should be a guaranteed round. All of A is not going to be easily to contest, but the RC card does get blown up. But look at how active these are getting on the pinch. You got Scrap already pushed up behind enemy lines. Just stay alive on the opposing end.
Well, the thing is, Boston may break this timing. They're getting really aggressive because they kind of have to. Problem is the long-range angle denies the bomb from being planted. Follow-up from Envoy catches another kill, but honestly speaking, Boston have done well to kind of out-trade here and get to the 2v2. But the follow-up, immediately Scrap was top third. Now he's all the way back to the defensive side of the map, and Hydra right there to make sure there is no exit. Thieves bounce back and take the edge again.
Yeah, trade after trade. Thankfully, Thieves started off those trades with that early first blood. I would have liked to see Ghosty and Envoy just back all the way on up. You had 2 players in Hydra and Scrap working that pinch, but they're able to read the play as well of the objective potentially going down. But once it turns into a 2v2, because you were too aggressive on your angle, thankfully you got Hydra holding hand in hand with Scrap in that trade engagement. Able to shut down Snoopy off of a potential Hellstorm, put themselves back in the advantage, 3-2.
Good composure there, considering that the RCXD play was essentially the exact same between the 2 defensive rounds for LA. But now those resources are expended. Ghosty looking for some pre-fire shots over towards B. Quick action in towards Ticket, though. Snoopy's able to find one. Follow-up, Purge right there. Shots through the wall, not going to connect. Cammy holding to make sure there's no trade. And now it's suddenly already a 1v3 for Scrap.
Bomb all the way across the map. A lot of time to work with. Yeah, so when 2 insane gunfights back-to-back, because they're just all running around as an army of 3.
Yeah. Well, not a lot of real estate to work with here for Scrap. Like you said, Boston not fully holding hands, but pretty much able to confirm trades for one another, you would think. Scrap catches one, gets out of there. Do you anticipate Awakening nearly, but not enough. Just too many numbers to count. Not enough time to make the play, and Boston will tie us up again.
Yeah, I think it starts off with the aggressive push over through that B site. Snoopy gets the first blood, knowing that he was instantly going to get traded. Just starting off those engagements was perfect because Purge was setting up a pinch through mid-ticket, was able to put themselves in a 3v2 and then keep his life, allowing Cammy to keep him Safe in towards Ticket, securing that third kill, and then a 1v3 for Scrap. Just not able to find every single player in that round. As Boston switch up the pacing there, push it to him on defense to tie the game.
And I love it. I mean, legitimately, you've got Snoopy who's got a hot hand from map number 1. Why not? Throw both SMGs through Ticket, try to see if you can find something mixy. Otherwise, just keep the tempo up. Works out nicely for Boston. This time, no trophy for Awakening, so he does not get as aggressive over towards the stairs. Instead, it's tempo this time for Boston over towards B. Bomb already being planted. Ghosty doesn't have the doors open to try to nade this, and we're going to get a 4v4 post plant.
Yeah, 4v4 post plant, but look at the play developing on the side of Hydra, working his way all the way behind enemy lines. You're going to have Awakening playing for this angle, but this timing could be everything on the round. Hydra not able to spot the first, but the timing good enough at least to take down Awakening. Big wake turn to
And
3v3.
Oh, hell no, Jay! That Ghosty shut down from the doors, could never get into the master suite. But, whoa! Big wake! Should have been dead to rights. Hits the deck, turns and burns. Clean shots as Boston
Played Delta while Lions on there.
same time. Now taking the edge in this map.
Oh man, that's such a big.
So you should just go play Delta while Lions on.
First blood. If Hydra gets that second, you're instantly into a 4v2. Snoopy was able to respond to make it a 2v2, but you still have a better chance at walking away with that round off the retake. But just Giga prepared for that gunfight. Games the back in favor of Boston.
Actually unprepared for that gunfight.
Oh yeah, you're right. You're right.
Oh mercy
Huh?
me! And now look at this, Boston gonna step up for the first time defensively with Purge mid steps. Scrap has to worry about top third and the heady just in front of the windows as well. So this is a lot of focus. Problem is Hydra has a free pass
Oh,
from
I'd
mid.
rather keep
So he'll catch one. Trade is out, but this completely deters this setup for Boston defensively, and Scrap collects.
Purge falls. 3v2 now in favor of LA.
Oh, no.
Route good enough from Snoopy. The shots good enough from Snoopy. 14 and 6, and give me number 15. I don't know if there's a calm that comes in right there from Cammy, but he was prepared for that one. Scrap left in a 1v2.
Yikes, and Scrap does not have much time to try to collect back onto this bomb. He has to clear so much ground with the walking kill streak of Snoopy still alive. And they're holding hands in garage right now. They're just not going to allow Scrap to do much in terms of doubling up unless they mistime this and get caught in the collide. And actually, Boston, I don't think they saw Scrap at all, so he's going to get a plan here to extend this.
Yeah, bomb's going to go down for free. Some bad caught timing there in favor of Boston. Now leads to this round extending a little bit longer. Scrap now with 40 seconds. Needs to clutch on up, but Snoopy and Cammy roaming around together.
Oh, and they've seen him, yeah. And with nades available, Snoopy could just try to lock him into place here. First stun will be a bit of miss. That came out of the hand of Cammy. Snoop is just from top 3 with this. Does he Scrap have an angle? It may not make a difference. Cammy's going to hold this route, and he may not get back to this in time. Does he get the shots? No, not in time. The bomb gets defused just before the final bullet lands, and Snoopy can do no wrong this series.
He's just taking over, man. It's as simple as that. Just take over moments out of the kid. Scrap, I thought when he plants that bomb in that angle, he could have put himself in a position towards top 3 window, but he must have checked it saying, okay, I can't see it. I have to put myself in a different position. Just not able to get to the bomb site in time. So now Boston at game point, back on the attack, where they've been showing early presence over towards edge, but then instantly pouncing over towards B. They're just gonna all slow this one down now.
Yeah, the thing is, I think Cammy information, that's team shots through B. This should lead to some significant movement for Snoopy trying to get back over to A, but look at the defense. They've already rotated a long way back around to hold on to a possible contest angle onto A. So Boston have to reconsider their options. And that little show of force at B has actually allowed Hydra to get really deep. He's playing backside Eskies now.
Yeah, but for some reason, it seems that Boston have a read on it, but now looking at you in here, they definitely don't know that Hydra's behind them. Hydra's about to make the play. Sitting at 2 and 6, not the best S&D performance. First strikes for the first blood. Hydra their response.
He just can't get away though. There's just no vacancy. Ghosty down low. Beat by Purge. Just up to Envoy. 1 versus 3. Bomb in hand. Boston. Which bomb site do we want to go to? Looks like they're going to make the decision to plant at B. Can Envoy catch a timing here? Try to reduce this to a 1v2 while the bomb is being planted. It doesn't look like he's going to get a chance at it, and now the job just got that much more difficult.
Yeah, he's got a Semtex, but that trophy system's going to block it, so it's all about the gunny. Cannot start off with the first, and Boston. That's why they're good at red cards. Stay undefeated. Now 3-0 on that map, 2-0 in this series. And that final round was just so beautiful out of Boston. Like, they read the early aggression coming in from B. Everyone stabilized. Let's just keep our base, slow the round down. Then even when they realize, okay, we have LA that wrapped from all the way at that B setup to now contesting at A, we have more information gained. We take mid-map away from them. Purge just sneaks his way up through Ticket, finds that first blood. Hydra eventually was taking way too long in that pinch. I thought he had the play right in his hands, but just takes too long, hoping that his teammates can give him something so he can set up on that pinch, but he only finds one, gets traded. Numbers in favor again of Boston, and then Purge by the second of the round, just being pushed up through the middle of the map. Thieves just leave way too many openings due to the information that they were not able to gain in the first minute, and Boston able to secure the S&D, finally stopping the bleeding. They just need a little red, Carolina, and they're back.
They just need a little Snoopy.
That too.
With 2 bombs planted. This guy's ripping them apart in the kill department and also getting the job done on the OBJ. Sometimes hills greater than kills, and Snoopy says, why not both? Up 2-0 early to, I would say, the chagrin of most of the community, because we're all sitting here, I think, after the Atlanta performance with this Boston team and said, whoa, okay, guys, like, cool, there's some electricity in the air every now and again.
Yep.
But is it enough to actually take down a possible top team? Can we even sit here even talk about Thieves maybe even not being a top team right now? Might be a bold take. Desk, what do you think?
We're having a great time. Boston, a surprise here to the desk. Nameless, let me just ask the question everybody's thinking. The challengers, we've had some cheaters. Is Snoopy cheating?
No, listen, Snoopy's just a dog. But, yo, he might be, honestly. Like, this guy is everywhere, frying on the first hard point, and then in that search and destroy, like, he is so confident. Every single gunfight going his way.
Allie, what's an ace?
An ace is when you get all 4 players in a round.
And your scuff play of the game. It's Snoopy. Walk us through this one.
I mean, it's just unreal. Snoopy has been playing with just a different level of confidence throughout this entire S&D, but in this round specifically, he gets 2 really easily handed to him. The biggest positioning right now is him staying alive, and the timing here is unreal. He hears those footsteps, the immediate crank to the right and getting that 3rd kill, and of course, the final player looking to try and get an angle. Snoopy says, you ain't never gonna expect
easy
me
reads.
You know what was awesome about this map? Like, if you just hard focusing Snoopy, he was shutting down Hydra. There were so many rounds Hydra tried to get pushed up, be a huge impact, and like Boston just pocketing each other, and Snoopy was just finding him, killing him over and over. You see it in this ace. You see it later on when Hydra does actually get her first blood. He's able to trade it out instantly. Snoopy looks so good right now, so confident on his team.
I love what we saw from Snoopy, and as you said, he kind of had someone baiting for him. Several rounds it was Purge getting first blooded by Hydra, but the trades were always there.
I think a big thing to take away from the second S&D is the fact that LA Thieves got a majority of the first bloods, and what's crazy about that is they're one of the best teams at converting it at 83%, but
You see there's new packs coming?
shut that down every single round.
What did
Yeah,
I
on
say
the
before?
29th.
Why did they let red card through? Do you guys have any reason why? I literally don't know why they would let this through. You look at the active maps.
I already have like 300 hourglasses saved up.
Now 3-0 on this map. Like, you gotta veto red card if you play Boston.
Yeah, I play this shit every night, bro.
You're not playing this.
Or at least my verses.
Maybe they were trying to test it because the defense.
This versus really where you like earn a lot more hourglasses.
You have to be a good retake team when it comes to this B site. So maybe they were trying to stretch their.
And whether it's playing like the bot or fucking playing real people, if you win, you get hourglasses every time. So.
And draw some conclusions.
Yeah, so the listening was awesome.
I've been doing that.
Communication is so good, and I know he's watching this. If he listened to me,
Maybe I'll save up my tickets in the store and then I'll buy like the fucking 8 times hourglasses with that.
Arguably, this is the hardest hill to break in the game, so we're gonna jump into the minimap and talk about how Boston break this.
Just keep fucking stacking.
Through, but really, it's fine communication. You can go back and listen to what Cammy's saying here. So actually, let's zoom out for a second. You see, he sees the player in the back. That's Hydra, right? This is Cammy. He gets the sight line on him. He's gonna cross and go over here. He's gonna leave him for a second, and then Cammy's gonna reposition to the statue and kind of pull these guys' attention. Meanwhile, he has his 2 teammates, Purge and Snoopy, rotating over here. And what you guys need to pay attention to is the patience from them. Snoopy's gonna wait at this door while Cammy pulls attention away, and then Purge is gonna reposition here and kind of just make sure nobody jumps out of either of these these windows to jump down and reflank them, right? So it's the fine things, it's the small moments on these breaks, what you guys need to pay attention to and how you get better with your teams at home or your ranked teammates, how to communicate it. So Cammy pulls the attention away, finds the kill in the back. Meanwhile, Snoopy was laying down waiting, then erupts after the kill from Cammy, and then Cammy and Awakening instantly push around the back, and then they get a full break on arguably the hardest hill to break in all of Black Ops 6, where you saw there were 6 seconds on this hill. LA Thieves would have blown this game out of the water, then Boston go on to win.
Is this the Boston coaching staff? Is this the individuals on the team? Who do we credit for Boston making a turnaround from last year to this year?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the collective roster. I will say in the listening, though, Cammy's voice definitely stands out, and Snoopy's had a lot of development. So I would say the vets on this roster, got to give them credit for getting Snoopy to this point.
They're on match point. Can they seal the deal and cause some chaos with a tiebreaker? It's time to find out. We send it back over to Shift. Take it away.
My voice catching strays from Ant right now, dog. Get
Brother,
back, Jay. Fight
he's
back.
straight capping, Alan. He's capping. Wheeler talking about me listening to him. He barely even talked when we competed back in the day because he was so damn turned finding all the kills on the map. So that communication wasn't Wheeler's strongest strength, but yeah, his gunny was. You're not saying I wasn't listening to you, dog, because I know you wasn't listening to me. That's facts.
Preach. It's a Sunday. Preach, minister. Why not? Let's talk about this series again, though. We talked about Hacienda Control coming up, and it just feels like another one of those moments where you look across the board, you look across the statistics, and I almost want to just throw them all away, Jay. Both teams have looked solid on this map mode combination to this point, but you can see, I mean, LA Thieves, they know they need to turn up right now because it's been looking a little grim so far through these first 2.
Yeah, they look defeated, man. They look defeated because you got to keep in mind, LA Thieves were giving themselves a fighting chance for that #1 seed, but they needed it to be like a clean 3-0, probably a 3-1, not to go all the way to the distance. So everybody just trying to lock themselves on in. So far, Control for this month has treated both of the AR as well. If they're going to both drop 1.3 threes, they're going to have a field day on Hacienda because it's all about the SMGs. And the way that Snoopy is shooting right now, Hydra needs to be able to shut him down because Snoopy is doing whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, it's been, again, a perfect month here for LA when it comes to their Control. A couple of round 5 wins on Protocol, and more importantly, some great offensive wins when it comes down to what they've been able to put together on this Hacienda, which has been...
Is LA about to get 3-0'd by Boston? We shall see.
Side of this map in particular. But I think the most important thing is not only are they finding success offensively on this map, but look at their defensive win percentage, one of the top in the league right now. So when you talk about the ability for the Thieves to extend this series and try to get to 4, if not 5, you feel pretty darn good about your chances of doing it here in the Control. The same could be said, though. This Boston team has been looking better. It's not great yet in terms of, like, top of the league, but it's getting better, and I think that's important news here for the Breach.
Yeah, and I think it has to start for both teams in the slaying department because Hasi, it's easy to put both teams on the spawn trap, either on the defensive side or the offense, but early to start this one up, Boston are going to be on the attack. They win an initial gunfight through the middle of the map. They currently have top secret control because here comes Hydra now on a pinch. He's able to contest it for both angles.
Yeah, contest is out. Hydra, Scrap working together to clear the zone, and they will. First tick is locked, though. And now off spawn towards Lambo side. Boston has to make a decision because trying to follow up on B, you can see it. Number 6 and number 8 are trying to have to go through well side. They actually catch Ghosty, trying to watch the cross through Spiral. And now it just comes down to the timing of this play towards open hall. Scrap shuts it down, and this restricts Boston to have to just play from well.
Yeah, Boston do a great job off the respawn of wrapping their way on back. Like, you spawn over towards the garage, you realize, okay, there's most likely pressure over through fences, but just finding that one gunfight onto Ghosty gives them another opportunity over towards B. Able to put the game clock at a pause. Envoy trying to make up for it, at least to trade onto Snoopy. But this second segment potentially should be a lock. Or not.
Or not.
Top
Yeah,
spot
Envoy
is
just kind of gets for free top window. I thought Purge was going to be holding that, especially seeing the nade come out the window, but was caught distracted by other elements of this defense that are now pushed up aggressively. Scrap on 5 in a row. Looking to see if you can catch this cross timing. Envoy from the front side at Arches, and Scrap's timing from behind is good for only one. Envoy holding the front door, though, will make sure Boston does not get through, and that will likely be the end of this first round. Near perfection here from the Thieves.
Yeah, only 10 seconds left. Last push, potentially to still put the game clock at a pause at B. And they should be able to touch it.
Wow.
Unless the guy is just moving in slow motion. Oh, Snoopy touches it, but unfortunately, all the map control still in favor of the Thieves. A very, very clean round right there from them. Hydra finding success on the pinch. Scrap with the AR holding down the front angles. and then just influencing the spawns. You have players who are reading those deep routes as well. Like Envoy won a big one-on-one on a deep route coming in from Snoopy through water side. So just accounting for everyone, keeping track of everyone leads to a very easy defense right there for LA.
What's your thoughts, Jay, just quickly on that opening offense after it gets pushed off of B, the 2-2 split for Boston, spawning Lambo, 2 try to go through Spiral, 2 try to go the long way around. Would you have rather seen them try to work that together, or do you kind of approve of the idea of hitting multiple things at once?
Now, you have to hit multiple things at once because the map's so big. You can lose track of these players, and then if you commit all of your cookies on one side, you can instantly get flanked, and that entire push gets shut down immediately. So just a split push didn't lead to a lot of the gunfights.
Hell yeah, they're the Charizard.
LA with the opportunity to respond on the attack, only have to wake up for 1 segment.
Purge, not a great start from him. 0-6. Just could not even barely have a chance to shoot the gun right now. As LA gonna get top office control, maybe. If it just comes down to what Hydra wants to do from this position. Everyone else focused on the zone. Awakening shut down bottom bar. But the same can be said for Hydra up top at the office. So things stay level, but Ghosty still finding kills. Will continue to keep LA on the A zone.
Yeah, I love this pressure, especially over towards A. Just consistently knowing where they're spawning over towards Bolt. First segment already locked in. Snoopy trying to make up for it. Can't win the gunfight versus Hydra. Now that second segment is already getting worked on. Boston, you have to try to break on in.
Yeah, you don't want this A zone to be the first thing captured, but there may not be much of a choice here. Purge and Awakening working on the long route, but they cannot find the player inside the zone. Desperate shots from Awakening, not landing, and it's a 5-life lead. Over 2 minutes to play here for the Thieves. More shots from Ghosty land, and at the same breath, you've already got Scrap with some high ground control over towards Patio.
Yeah, Scrap just wants to get this final kill onto Purge to allow his teammates to run straight through the point. But he's going to decide to give that one up. Put the game clock at a pause. Still trying to play for a couple of spawners. Freebie onto the Snoopy. Now you're in a 4v2. You know that the other two players are now off the respawn at Boathouse. And now you can start to stack this point a little bit.
Awakening gets shut down over to the middle of the map. That leaves Boston to have to try to hit this from Patio side. And this is going to lead to some significant progress. Second tick likely to get locked. Contest is in through wine, but Envoy picks that up. Follow-up from Awakening is just tags and shots. Jumping on into the zone are a couple of Breach members, but this is, again, so limited in numbers. Hydra off a bit of a pinch from the top side of Patio. Clears the back of the zone. The stack is in, and the Thieves quickly up 2-0 here in the control.
Just way too easy right there for LA. I knew that when Hacienda Control got thrown into the map pool, there were some teams who were definitely going to stand out, LA being one of them. It's just due to the fact that they can outslay with the best of them. You're getting SMGs who are already pushed up into your spawn, ARs who know what angles they need to watch. And they're just timing these pitches to perfection, not allowing Boston to come off the respawn with every single player to set up a team push. Just getting picked off one by one is not going to lead to success here on Hacienda.
We're going to get a Terminator event.
And on both sides of the control point, LA's been perfect so far. So when you talk about the ability to win rounds, let alone 3 in a row, it feels a little desperate in nature here for Boston. With a couple
I was going to say too,
we're under double
you may be right on those Ninja Turtle skins line.
It's not going well right now for the Breach. Hydra.
So you may be right at those Ninja Turtle skins might come soon.
Pushing the issue backside fences, Envoy with him, but Boston turn this into a couple of successful kills. That gets them on to stop the clock early.
And they found the second kill as well, so.
Mm-hmm.
Just gotta read the angle on the pinch, and again, they just lose track of Hydra. Allow them to slip behind enemy line.
I found this thing where it says new melee weapons. Melee's focused of weapon sets at mid-season, and then the leaked melees were the katana, bow staff, skateboard, sais, and nunchucks.
Shots from Hydra taking care of the low HP opponent.
And since that grind map is coming back, skateboarding map.
Are just struggling to get anything.
This block states an additional surprise related to the map coming later in the season, and then map is a skate park, TNT's skateboards a lot.
Where is Boston going? And you can hang out here a little while longer. There's kill number 7. Finds Snoopy up top at the window, and now the window is controlled by Hydra. 17 and 7.
And the rest of the blocks is
First tick will be locked at B, but
they were to bring this.
Still push forward. Scrap finds the double, takes care of it, and now we're down to under 30 seconds. LA in a position.
So they can go 2 different ways, and it's either individually sell them by 1,800 or 2,400 cloud points as like a party pack. I like how they did with those little furry skins and the smiley skins.
only 15 seconds remaining. The last push coming in from Boston. Envoy here to contest it. He's reading the early pressure. And on the opposite side of the map, Scrap at least finds one to shut down that aggression over towards A. This is like a 5-minute map, Alan. We're going map 4.
Yes, we are. Okay. Wow. Cammy's going to try to do what he can here, but not going to be allowed to. Hellstorm gets called in, and Boston will not be able to touch. And I think these fans are sitting there like, whoa, about time. Like, we can't be sweating here versus a team like Boston. We're looking forward to the major, and that control, they just shift the momentum a touch here for the Thieves.
And they just played that to perfection. Everyone had their own roles. It was Hydra's job to sneak his way behind, find a couple kills on the pinch. Envoy, your job was to make sure you were accounting for the playmakers on the other side. So every time Purge or Snoopy tried to hit a long route, Envoy was there to meet him. And then the ARs just continue their dominance. So far throughout this month, Scrap goes 17-6. Ghosty, all he needs to do is throw up 1,300 damage. It was just a very easy game right there for LA to now potentially give them some momentum going forward.
Oh, without question. I mean, take a little mental picture of this one because it was all Thieves all the time throughout map number 3. That is a quick exchange of momentum coming through. In particular, the severe shutdown of the SMGs early, just never allowing Boston to get through, let alone develop anything on either offensive attempt. So, all right, let's talk about protocol. Because I don't really know what else you say about a map that looks like that besides Thieves dominate, period.
And it was everybody. Like, it's just as simple as that. Everybody did what they needed to do. So at least extend this series now to this map 4, but not too many highlights needed. You just saw how dominant it was from start to finish from the Thieves. Talk now about this protocol hardpoint. Both teams only have 1 rep on it. For LAT, they played against Atlanta and they just got beaten the hell out of. And that was due to the fact that when you're thinking about a map like protocol, LAT need to be the team that's early off this rotations. They only won 28% of their rotations versus Atlanta. On a map like protocol, where a lot of these hills can tend to be money hills, you need to make sure you're there early. And then in the opposing set for Boston, they do a great job on the rotation. Probably one of the best rotating maps that they have in HP. It's just the hold percentage after that. They need to make sure their setups are a lot better because they cannot afford to be easily broken into the way that Optic did.
Yeah, that's, I think, the most important part about this is kind of taking the stats we were talking about on Vault and then looking at it compared to their macro stats in terms of hardpoint overall, and then you re-transition that focus into what's happening on a map like Protocol. And some of the numbers don't necessarily line up as much as they had, I think, on Vault for both of these two teams, really with the exception for Boston, where, again, their break percentage is still very strong, the rotation percentage is still pretty strong. It's just their holds are pretty much non-existent. I mean, legitimately, they're only holding for what looks like a couple of seconds, and then they immediately get broken on first attempt. When we, again, watched it once. That's the other important thing to keep in mind, that there's not a lot of reps, so the numbers are going to be very skewed. I think this is just about, you know, we've seen this a lot, and I think you and I in particular, we saw a lot of this map in Challengers this last week, and we're starting to see teams develop this ritual of let the ARs get set up first, clear out 1 elimination, and then start to fly. Take 4v3s. Take away position when you have number advantages. Don't just run because you feel like you have to all the time. And I think that might be where we see the identity of these two teams really showcase what the teamwork is actually looking like. Because on big open maps like Red Card, we've seen Snoopy just kind of run around, do what he wants. He's successful. Vault, similar idea. He just gets to the hill and is successful. But a map like Protocol, you don't get those opportunities nearly as much, I think, largely due to the fact that you have to control space before you can take it.
Yeah, and the thing about you saying about if you're the SMG player trying to get too aggressive in certain aspects, you have to make sure at least your AR players are blocking those spawns, because this game can be very simple if you're going to take space away from them so you can guarantee the space on the other side. It just depends on micromanaging the game the way that you need to. Or at least we saw it in map number 1, where Snoopy obviously dropping 40+ kills is going to help. But you had the ARs setting themselves up in those proper spots, allowing the SMGs to do that. The same thing could be set for a map like Protocol. And if you're on the LA Thieves side, the Money Hill on map number 1 in Vault, which was P4, you couldn't hold the setup. Money Hill here is P4. If you win that rotation, setups need to be on point, because Boston, they were just picking you guys apart.
Yeah, and that's, again, it's kind of the unstoppable force meets the immovable object, where you've got a team that's great at breaking versus a team that's great at holding. Only one of those two things are going to be successful in the scheme of when two teams match head-to-head, and in instance number 1, it did favor that of Boston. So now it's just down to, I think, the macro level gameplay I'm looking at for Boston of, you know, trying to secure breaks is not as, I would say, easy on a map like Protocol, because like you said, you have to be able to influence spawns, because otherwise you pop up, you're right back in the hill. It could get really disastrous in terms of how quickly you're being reinforced in a map like Protocol. So that's kind of the instances that we're looking at the moment. Again, large level conversations, but let's just jump right on in and see how each team handles each other. LA trying to get to map number 5 with a potential reverse sweep in the cards. For Boston, their first major kind of stapled win against a team that everyone's considered to be at near the top of the leaderboards in the power rankings. We'll see how this one unfolds as we jump into Protocol map 4.
So far, scrappy P1. Back and forth in the kills, but still in favor of the spawns is LA. You do have one player in Hydra playing it super patient. He doesn't want to get aggressive in towards 10, and now Boston don't want to invest all those places, just walk up through heli steps. So Purge gets accounted for on the pinch. This is looking like a flawless start from LA Thieves. They are accounting for everyone.
Yeah, and I love the route of Hydra as well, just kind of re-wrapping around the back, making sure any late attempts over towards not just P1, but the high ground on the initial Boston building is contested. So 34 seconds for LA on the opening hill, working on the rotation to 2 as we speak, and the kills are good. So now it's just down to getting the last player inside the hill taken care of. Awakening knows he's under threat, tries to back up towards the staircase, and with Purge coming off spawn, finding elimination onto Scrap, Boston will hang on to the early time at 2.
Oh, Awakening with a massive double kill there on the point. Able to allow his teammates now to help him a little bit, but no one else finds success in that kill feed. A double from Envoy, good enough to lead to the break. Swans now flip. Boss is still gonna give a crack at this, but you can already see the positionings of the LA players. You have a lot of top mid control. You have a player pushed out towards Bo. Every kill that they get is now gonna spawn up behind them, and this is what you need to do if you're the Thieves.
Yeah, but now all of a sudden heads have to be on a swivel. A little bit of a pinch setup developing for Boston off the split spawns. That will get them in for the scrap time, as now LA have to work on rotating across the map to P3. Cammy surprised by Scrap, just laying in the middle of the staircase. Scrap almost turns it into a double, but Purge is keeping it honest for the initial trade. But still, the long routes out of LA are going to see them spawning behind P3. Boston will have a chance to set up early for a break from the front, but Scrap is watching the cross. He's already found the opening kill.
Yeah, Scrap with a freebie through the middle of the map. Had the parallel spawns, but now you have to read the pressure from Boston because there's a whole lot of aggression over through the zip side. Purge starts it off with the first. Ghosty effective on the trade. That one kill should at least allow his teammates to spawn in towards the back, but Boston are actually going to be blessed in towards the back spawns. Ghosty still trying to finesse with the AR. Now everyone turn around.
Wow, that is such a massive opening from Ghosty. As Hydra follows the play, shuts down the spawns for Boston, at least largely on the initial attempt to break. And now it's just down to holding on the interior. Can you watch these crosses correctly? Scrap says yes for the first. Looking for number 2. A little bit of a mix-up with Cammy and Purge trying to hit this together, and Boston will find a way to break back in with finding every single kill. Purge lighting up with a double with the pistol.
Now you gotta go. You gotta go and hit that early rotation over towards Snoopy. Miraculously was able to stay alive a little bit longer, but Envoy finds 3 off the roto, and that leads to now 4 dead. All of the LA Thieves stacked in towards the bottom side. You have Scrap watching outside towards Big Door. Gonna give the comms on that end of the map. This should lead to a good chunk of timing for LA.
First slide coming in, Envoy under pressure. Purge, another double to open up. They're gonna find more than that. He's gonna take down 3. Hydra took a look to see if he could catch a free kill on the quick timing to recontest, but instead values his life. So now the setup, trying to develop from really all 3 sides at the same time, but the coordination is not there. And Boston is gonna clean him up until maybe Scrap and Ghosty can do something from elevator side. Scrap feeling like he's got Purge low. Ghosty follows on the interior, and the shutdown through the elevator shaft allows the Thieves to break in with 20 seconds.
Yeah, big 20. First of all, you need to fix your setup there because you can't be so scattered on a Money Hill and P4. If we play tight setups, everyone watch an angle, we should put ourselves in a position to potentially walk away with full 60s there, but at least they make up for it with that last break attempt. Now up by 50. We saw them get 40 seconds initially. Gonna have Scrap on the point, but the trophy doesn't keep him alive.
That feels so terrible. It's like, I just got a trophy on me. That's some question. Oh, never mind. I guess I'm dead. And Boston will use that as a chance to get in early. Ghosty contesting. Clean shots from Dan Ghosty. 15 and 7. Oh, knew he was about to be threatened, but Scrap has his back, and unfortunately the Semtex did leave his right hand. And that now means that Boston will quickly jump back in. Problem is, Hydra just hitting routes, making things mixy. Boston hanging for now, but they desperately need to win this rotation from 1 to 2 to get back into this game.
Yeah, it all starts with this P1 time and this mid-map pressure. Need the gunfights to go your way, but Ghosty and Envoy and Scrap jumps into the mix for a clean 4 dead. Now everyone accounted for. Rotations in favor of the Thieves. You got to cut your losses to fight that time around that P1. You want to try to maintain a little of that mid-map control, but this gunfight is such a big one, and Awakening wins it.
Yeah, huge. Need to see it as well. Kind of, again, we framed it up. What were we going to get from the ARs kicking things off first? LA currently holding the edge in the AR battle, although Awakening is starting to wake up. Just a touch here as we jump into this P2. Thieves spawning close, though. Have to find a way to break. And we'll jump over to see how they're calming it out as an LA Thieves listen in. Grace our ears.